What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Hop Butcher for the World, and they're out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Yellow Moss. So they're calling this one a Citra, Simcoe and Amarillo-hopped Double IPA. It comes in at 7.5% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. This can is just over 3 weeks old. I'm going to give a huge thanks. Shout out once again to Hop Butcher for this beer, so big thanks to them. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail video I did that contains all the goodies they hooked me up with, and I'm really happy they sent me a couple cans of this because I just recently reviewed their Green Moss, which was kind of like a bucket list beer from Hop Butcher that I've been wanting to try for a couple years, and that lived up to the hype in my own mind. Absolutely delicious beer, and this beer is essentially that beer with the addition of Amarillo hops. So Green Moss is Citra and Simcoe. This adds Amarillo to the mix, and I've seen a couple friends on Untappd check it in and really love this one, including a very good friend of mine, viewer of the channel, Kenny, who gave it a 5 out of 5. And Kenny just doesn't throw 5s around all that frequently. So I took notice on that, and I was like, I hope I enjoy this one. Now, will it be as good as Green Moss? I have no idea. Green Moss was delicious. We will see. So yeah, it's pouring out that, that Hop Butcher juice look to it. It has that like light, fruity, turkey stock, turkey gravy, chicken gravy, whatever you want to call it, kind of look to it. We are not going to pour it all in. A lot of times there's chunks and whatnot at the bottom. I basically store my Hop Butcher beers upside down at this point, like a heavily fruited sour because of that. But yeah, that has that turkey gravy look to it, right? I don't know why I always say stock. It looks more like turkey gravy. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it has that honey orange color, a little bit darker, about a finger and a half of a super incredibly creamy looking head that is like off-white, eggshell white. Hold it up to the light. Nothing can get through that murky turbid. The whole nine looks beautiful. Let's get a nose. Oh, fuck. So this is like one of the freshest Hop Butcher beers I've had in a hot minute. A lot of times they send, anywhere between, 4 to like sometimes 11, 12 different unique beers that I end up reviewing. So a lot of times as I review them over the course of, a month or two, some of them are older. Sometimes they'll be a couple months old. Like a couple of the ones I just reviewed were around 2 months, a little bit over 2 months old. This is just over 3 weeks old. And it's just incredible, the nose. There's a ton of fresh, juicy, in-your-face candied citrus. There's orange, there's like clementine, there's like ruby red grapefruit, pink grapefruit with like sugar sprinkled on top. It's just a lot of citrus. Oh man, getting like a peach gummy ring. It has that sweet like candied peach note too, like over ripened. But there's this nice zesty, sharp, almost like piney bitterness that's kind of really green but piney. I feel like this is gonna have some hop burn. A lot of their beers, super fresh, have hop burn. And a lot of times I drink them six weeks old, a couple months old, and the hop burn will still even be noticeable a little bit there as well. But like I could tell, it's gonna be a little hop burn to it. But yeah, just a ton of citrus. There's some of that, like again, peach gummy ring, maybe a little bit of mango in here as well. But then that sharp, grassy, green, piney kind of just, again, going outside after it rained and just like hanging out in your yard kind of nose. Especially if you have like pine trees. Yeah, it smells really good. It doesn't smell like overly candied or sweet because a lot of times their double IPAs and triple IPAs can be that way. It just smells really nice. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Hop Butcher. That's delicious. Oh, yeah. Oh. And this has a nice, like, piney bitterness on the finish. Like, piney, green, grassy kind of finish. There is like a chunk or two that landed in there. That's crazy. I usually there are, especially if you stir them upside down, but not a big deal. Body on this, a lot of their bodies have been like just over the top, like thick. Like a lot of these 7.5% double IPAs from them I've been drinking recently, they have like a low, full, medium, full body, like they're thick. This one, not as much, beautifully. Or I shouldn't say beautifully, I should say thankfully, because while I do enjoy that, I still think this body's a little bit more my wheelhouse. This is like higher side of medium body. It's nice for 7.5%, but it's not like you're chewing it. And I think with something at 7.5% skirting the lines of that double IPA realm, this just works better for me. The mouthfeel, soft, smooth, creamy, it's what Hop Butcher does. The taste, it's not overly complex. I will say right off the rip, Green Moss was better than this for me personally. But what this lacks in complexity makes up for intensity. The front of the palate is just all kinds of citrus, like all the citrus. There's, again, orange, there's clementine, there's, dare I say, tangelo, there's pink grapefruit, ruby red grapefruit, a little bit of a sugar sprinkle on all those, right? But then you're getting also, or at least I'm getting the like a zest, like a zest of an orange, the pith of an orange, maybe a pith of a grapefruit. It's like most of the fruit is noticeable at the forefront, but I think the candied kind of outweighs everything. And as it passes through, that's where I get the peach gummy ring. This is more of a candied vibe to it. But when I say candied, I don't necessarily mean like over the top sweet. It just has that kind of flavor profile as opposed to like an authentic fruit. It just has more of a candied vibe. Midway through the palate, I get a little bit of like a ripened mango as well. But about halfway to 2/3 of the way through the palate, this transitions into a beautiful finish of a piney, grassy bitterness. This has like a moderate bitterness, like right on moderate, has a semi-dry finish, but the bitterness, there's like a little bit of like a resinous pine in the back of the throat. So this has like old school influences in a new school kind of hazy, right? 7.5%, I can't tell. I'm kind of wrestling with a couple different ratings in my dome piece right now. I'm leaning higher side of 4.2, so like 4.3, 4.35, or lower side of 4.5, which would be probably 4.4. I'm gonna take one more sip here. Let me pour the rest in and see if the goodies do anything. I'm gonna take one more sip and I'm gonna lock something in because this isn't as good as green moss, but it's not that far off for me personally. It's up there. This is good. This is another good one from Hop Butcher. Surprise, surprise. Oh. Yeah, I think I have to get this. We're going to read tasting notes in a second. Trying to remember. I've only forgotten once like in the past like year. But we're going to remember to read them. But Yellow Moss from Hop Butcher. I am going to lock in, my friends, a low 4.5. We'll go 4.4 out of 5. This is, again, not as good as green moss, but this is absolutely delicious. I like that piney, resinous pine kind of finish. It's kind of more intense as we're talking. And again, all these hops are, I mean, Simcoe and Amarillo, a bit more old school than Citra, but they're all old school hops for the most part at this point. And I think that piney thing is coming from the Simcoe and the Amarillo. Surprisingly, I'm not getting like a dank kind of vibe. I get a lot of times from Simcoe, but I do get a lot of peach from Simcoe. Get a lot of orange from Amarillo. A lot of times I get blood orange. Didn't get it here, but 4.4 out of 5. Tasting notes, fresh citrus. They nailed that. You could say candy citrus. You could say juicy citrus. Fresh citrus all day. Light pine. I would say heavy pine. I would say resinous pine. I would say anything pine. So they nailed that, but I would say they didn't nail it for me, but I would say pine or resinous pine. That's what I would say. And then pink grapefruit, yeah, but kind of redundant with saying fresh citrus to say pink grapefruit, but I guess they're accentuating that there's a lot of pink grapefruit in here, and there is. They're, like I said, ruby red pink grapefruit with candied sprinkle on top. They pretty much nailed the taste notes from what I'm getting. It's a delicious beer. Price point availability, I think in Chicagoland, these are 15, 16 bucks a 4-pack. If you see them outside of Chicago, like here in the Buffalo, New York area, probably talking about $20 a 4-pack, kind of the going rate for beers like this. Let's say you live outside of where Other Half distributes a $18 or $20 4-pack at the brewery, probably going to be more like 22, 24. Everybody's got to make money in between, so I get that. But if you're in Chicago, this is some of the best bang for buck. I mean, comparatively speaking, other breweries, beers like this are at least $18, if not $20 a 4-pack for the hype that Hop Butcher brings, the quality. You're usually not under $20 a 4-pack for something like this. So always love to see them bring the value in Chicago. So yeah, availability Hop Butcher, you know, we just saw another drop of their stuff here recently. Their minted show up. They're minted. They're only interested in New Zealand, which I just reviewed. And there was another beer that I can't remember off the top of my head. 3 beers showed up from them in the past month. I'm not saying that's going to happen for everybody out there, but if you really want Hop Butcher, just do a Google search. You can find some online stores to buy it from. But yeah, they're not that hard to find. Maybe you have to pay a little extra with shipping and whatnot, but you can procure Hop Butcher stuff if you really want. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it. What did you think about this compared to Green Moss? Green Moss is the better beer to me, but this is still pretty damn good. But Green Moss is just, I don't know, something about that beer was just on another level, but this is still delicious. So appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer PaTroll. It's 7.5%, like I said. Can't even really tell. Hides the alcohol extremely well. Maybe now as I sipped on a little bit more, a little bit of warming in the chest, but outside of that, not much. Anyway, appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.